Polls show the race between President Biden and former President Trump within the margin of error. A Trump win, coupled with the possibility of Republicans taking back the Senate, would lead to a period where a health setback for Sotomayor could lead to a 7-2 conservative majority, a risk some argue they should not take.
You should learn a lesson, and it's not like there's any mystery here about what the lesson should be. The old saying, graveyards are full of indispensable people, ourselves in this body included.
This article was texted to me. I did what he said. I read it before I responded. I read it so you don't have to, because it's not worth your time. And I'll tell you why. First of all, his very first sentence was, forget RBG. Sonia is the queen of the Supreme Court. Oh, okay, so we're going to put woman against woman just right out the gate. Let me be clear. The women on the liberal side, past, present, and probably future, are all queens. We are blessed in that department. He then goes on to talk about how great Sonia is, her masterful dissents, how she's considered the conscience of the Supreme Court. All facts. But then he goes into RBG and does the cliche thing. Makes you all believe if we lived in some magical world with some magical wand, if RBG would have retired, everything would have been okay, which is a lie. The magical world and the magical wand was 2016, our one shot of getting back the Supreme Court, which he leaves out in this article. He then goes on to talk about Sonia and how she has type 1 diabetes and travels with a medic. It took me like 2 seconds to find out that time period she was traveling with a medic was peak COVID time. And again, she has diabetes, so high risk. But he leaves that timeline out. He just dangles, she travels with a medic. Traveled, by the way. Then he just talks in circles, tells you how this may happen or that may happen, and says this isn't about her race or gender. He did the same thing with Breyer. It's funny how he leaves out that if Sonia were to retire, the Senate Judiciary Committee would halt confirming federal judges, which right now President Biden has confirmed 190 federal judges. Trump confirmed 234. We're still playing catch up. He also leaves out the fact that since we don't have control of the Supreme Court, federal courts are everything to us. Federal judges are everything to us. So if that were to halt to confirm a justice,
all right, guys, so we got to talk about more Democrat infighting, more friendly fire from the Democrats. Okay, I love it because, Joe Biden possibly could lose the election because of Democrat friendly fire. I mean, they are going back and forth with each other, the establishment Democrats and the progressives. We just had Hillary Clinton come out here and basically reprimand the progressives that are saying that, hey, I don't want to vote for Biden, right? Or the undecideds that are saying that, hey, I don't know if I want to vote for Biden or Trump, okay? I mean, they're basically telling their base, get in line or you are responsible for overthrowing democracy, right? You're responsible for Orange Man getting back into office. Again, I don't think that is a good strategy to win, but hey, it is what it is. I'm never going to disrupt my enemy while they destroy themselves. In fact, I'm going to cover my enemy destroying themselves. I'm going to laugh at them because, again, we got to talk about the cackling hens. Specifically, Whoopi, who's upset with Mehdi Hasan, who's a progressive political commentator, suggesting that Supreme Court Justice Miss Sonia Sotomayor step down before Trump is elected, okay? And the reason why he's saying that is because Justice Sotomayor has been experiencing some health problems, and she's kind of sort of getting up there in age, but kind of not really. I think she's like 69, right? But again, there's this fear, okay, of what happened when Ruth Bader Ginsburg decided to stay in office instead of stepping down in 2016 before Trump was elected, okay? There was a lot of talk about, hey, you need to step down because you're getting up there in age and we don't want you to die in office, okay, if a Republican is elected president, because then he's just going to replace you with another Republican and we're going to lose a seat. And lo and behold, that is what happened, right? Trump was able to replace Ruth Bader Ginsburg with Amy Coney Barrett. And liberals have been raging ever since then, okay? Ever since then, they have been raging, okay? So now, because of their nightmares over what happened with Ruth Bader Ginsburg, there are calls for Justice Sotomayor to step down, okay? To step down because just in case Trump wins, they don't want that same situation to happen where they're going to lose another seat, okay, to a conservative in what already is a conservative Supreme Court. And we all know that the Supreme Court is the last line of defense when it comes to sanity in this country, okay? The Supreme Court has shot down a lot of the Looney Tunes agenda from the Democrats and has been a thorn in the side of the Biden administration. And that is why progressives are always trying to push Democrats to pack the Supreme Court, okay, to expand the Supreme Court to like what, 13 or 14 justices, okay? Those are some of the proposals out there because they don't like the fact that the court is overwhelmingly conservative. So Whoopi is too stupid to actually realize what the argument is from Democrats, and it's actually pretty hilarious to hear her rage over Mehdi Hasan, making a suggestion that, I mean, I got to be honest with you, from a political perspective, wouldn't be a bad idea, right? If you're afraid that she might die in office, Justice Sotomayor, it might be a good idea for her to step down and to get a younger justice on the court to make sure that you keep that seat. But hey, you know, I'm going to let my enemies, right, fight each other. And I personally think Democrats should listen to Whoopi, right? Take Whoopi's advice and, yeah, she should stay in the seat and focus on Clarence Thomas instead, right? That's who they're obsessed with.
I think so, yeah.
So here's what's going on in the world. The battle over reproductive rights is one of the key issues in America right now. And it has some warning history that it could repeat itself if liberal Supreme Court Justice Sonia Sotomayor doesn't step down. Look, here's what political commentator Mehdi Hasan's his warning. Take a look.
I have PTSD from 2020. I think the Democrats didn't learn lessons. Look, what are we talking about? Abortion rights. How did that happen? Dobbs. How did the Florida decision happen today? DeSantis appointed 5 of the 7 judges. Republicans are very good at stacking courts, at getting their people on courts, at thinking strategically about filling courts. Democrats aren't very good at seeing the power of the Supreme Court. And that's why I worry. I worry that why would you want to repeat history? Why take the risk? You have a Democratic president and a Democratic Senate, and you have a justice who's about to turn 70.
So, just because I'm going to ask this.
You're annoyed with? What are you annoyed with?
I'm annoyed that he's not saying, hey, why do we still have Clarence Thomas on the court, whose wife was implicit in trying to turn over the election? Listen, there are... I've always said this about the Supreme Court. Supremes get on the court and they evolve. Sometimes it takes some time, but you think of Frankfurter, who evolved. All of these Supreme Court justices.
Does evolve.
It does, and they do evolve because their job is not to make the law. Their job is to look at the law and figure out how it could be working better. This guy, to go for Justice Sotomayor, who we know her thoughts, we don't always agree with them, but we know her thoughts, and she's a thoughtful person. We don't know some of these other folks, and getting her off doesn't mean somebody else is going to get on and be better. So what is his point? There are people who should be gone because they're not doing what I think they should have done. Clarence Thomas should have recused himself. He shouldn't be sitting
Maybe you and I can chip in and pay for a cruise for him.
Maybe.
Well, but...
Wow. Whoopi is dumb, right? Like, I'm so serious, okay? That's something I've started to notice, okay, from watching some of these clips of The View, is that Whoopi quite literally has no idea what the hell she's talking about, okay? I don't understand why they even allow her to continue to host this show, because she will go on these long rants that are about nothing at all and not making any point whatsoever, just saying stuff, okay? I mean, it is word salad. I mean, the level of word salad coming from Whoopi in a vast majority of her commentary on The View is on the level of Kamala Harris, right? I've heard Kamala Harris make more sense and be more coherent than Whoopi. I honestly think is at the point where Whoopi may have a case of the Joe Biden, right? I really don't think she understands anything, okay? Because she's just making one of the most politically ignorant arguments. Like, she does not understand the point. Like, she literally does not understand that what he's talking about is the idea that, hey, with Ruth Bader Ginsburg, she stayed in too long, okay? She risked staying in for whatever reason, even though she knew she was up there in age and that she could die, right, on the court. And lo and behold, that's what happened. And that's what allowed Trump to flip that seat. Now, here's the thing. I want the Democrats to listen to people like Whoopi, right? Listen to these idiots, okay? Yeah, Justice Sotomayor, you should stay on the court, right? You should stay on the court. But politically speaking, right? This is just me being a political commentator here. What Mehdi is trying to say is that, well, if she steps down, okay, then again, they can put a younger justice on the court. Now, Whoopi doesn't understand that. And she's trying to think about it from a perspective of, well, why is he not attacking Clarence Thomas? It's like, well, first and foremost, he's not attacking anybody, right? He's not attacking Justice Sotomayor. He's just saying, like, politically speaking, from a strategic perspective, she needs to step down so there's a younger justice. She believes that he should be attacking Clarence Thomas, but there's nothing that Mehdi can do to get Clarence Thomas off the court, right? There's nothing that Democrats can do to get Clarence Thomas off the court, right? Clarence Thomas is going to be on the court, but here's the thing. Here's the kicker. The Republicans are smart enough to understand, the conservatives are smart enough to understand that, for example, if Trump is elected, that it's a good chance that Alito and Clarence Thomas are probably going to step down, right? Because, you know, they're getting up there in age, right? So they know that, okay, I need to step down so that a new, younger justice, conservative, can take my seat. They're going to do that. Republicans understand the program, right? They get with the program, okay? That's what happens. So Democrats, on the other hand, for whatever reason, they just decide to stay. And they're like, oh, okay, we're going to die in office, right? I mean, the way that Brett Kavanaugh got his seat was because the Republican, the conservative, Anthony Kennedy decided to step down. He said, okay, I'm going to step down. I'm getting up there in age. Let me step down before I die so another conservative gets this seat. But see, here's the thing. You have feminists that are raging over this, right? They're mad at Mehdi Hasan. But again, their feminism is clouding their judgment, right? They think that it's an attack on Justice Sotomayor because she's a woman. And it's not really that. It's just political strategy. Whoopi's derangement of Clarence Thomas is keeping her from saying the strategy here, right? But again, Whoopi is just so dumb. I just don't think intellectually she really understands. And again, this is why I say that people like this should not be on television, national television, talking about politics. If Whoopi is too dumb to understand this very basic point, this very simple concept when it comes to political strategy and how politics works, how the courts work, why are you talking about this, right? But she's going to continue to talk about this and to speak on an issue that she clearly doesn't understand. But again, this is who I want Democrats to listen to, right? Listen to idiots like this, okay? Listen to this.
Ted Cruz? No. I had to.
Just to defend Mehdi a bit, he did call for Clarence Thomas to recuse from January 6th. He's very progressive. I think he and I don't agree.
I'm sure he is, but this is not, for me.
Yeah.
I did not want to hear this. I want you to talk about getting the people who are not doing their job.
My thing with this is actually 70 to me seems pretty young for her.
Well, it is pretty young.
I was struck by that, but the subtext here, I think Mehdi and I don't agree on a single thing, but he's one of the smarter progressive minds, and I think liberals looking at the political system right now. Yeah. And he is awake to the fact that Donald Trump could very much win re-election. And I think that there's a lot of Democrats who are a bit asleep to that. And there's this kind of fear of, well, it's the Nikki Haley Republicans who are going to lose this for Joe Biden. I don't think so. I think a lot are going to go for Biden. I think there's a real fear that progressive leftists are actually going to not turn out.
Well, if that's their reasoning, then they have to do what they have to do. If that's the country they want, with you-know-who in charge. Listen, I appreciate people's opinions. I like them. It's fine. But for me, this was a slap A to a 69-year-old woman. Yeah. Because you're acting like she's got an issue. You got an issue with her, so she should go. I say, get rid of the people who aren't doing their job. Democrats, we don't stack the court. We don't do that. A lot of us wanted him to do that, but he won't do that because that's not how you run the government. That's his feeling. Now, not you, but Republicans, many Republicans on the other side were fine with the shenanigans that went on to stack the court.
Well, they stole about two seats.
They did.
What is the shenanigans? What is the shenanigans? What does that mean? What are you talking about, Whoopi? What shenanigans? What shenanigans went on? Okay, I mean, I'm just saying, look, here's the thing. Mitch McConnell, okay, when Antonin Scalia died, right, Mitch McConnell, smartly, okay, you got to give Mitch credit. He said, listen, we're not going to allow anybody to be appointed on the court, okay, until after the election, right? The American people should decide. Okay, that's what he did. Okay, now again, whether you agree that's right or wrong, but he did what he had to do, right? And that paved the way for Neil Gorsuch to be nominated by Trump. Now, again, if it wasn't for Mitch McConnell, then we would have had Merrick Garland on the Supreme Court, right? Could you guys imagine Merrick Garland? Okay, so that's what he did. And then when Ruth Bader Ginsburg died before the election, the 2020 election, hey, Republicans decided that, you know what, we need to go ahead and nominate our person while we're in office and while we have power. So, again, that's politics, bro. And at the end of the day, that's just how you play the game, okay? So, the seats weren't stolen as much as, hey, we just outsmarted you, right? It is what it is. But they've been raging about that ever since, right? They've been so mad ever since then.
Let's point that out.
Well, I was waiting for you.
Thank you. They have stacked the court by stealing 2 seats.
Yes.
And the other thing I will say is I agree. I love Mehdi. I consider him a personal friend.
Mm-hmm.
We have talked about a lot of issues. He's actually very brilliant.
He might be. So He's wrong here.
Yeah, this take, I will say to my friend, I thought was the wrong take, especially because, as you pointed out, Clarence Thomas is 75. Samuel Alito, who wrote the Dobbs decision,
How
is
old
74.
Is he? Oh.
John Roberts, the Chief Justice, is the same age as Justice Sotomayor. He's 69. Kagan is 63. And so when you're pointing all of those things out, how can you then say this woman who, by the way, Justice Sotomayor is managing diabetes like millions of people in the world.
She needs to get on Ozempic. Get on Ozempic.
She can get on Ozempic. She can do several things. But the bottom line is she is such a stalwart on that court that we need her voice. And they have established allegiances, and she's been on the court for almost 15
well,
years.
They're also
it's not the time for her to go.
Equivocating it to RBG, who was 82. She was 12 years older.
And sick.
Yeah, and so
she had pancreatic cancer.
There were a lot of people putting in the article, like, it's like that again, but it's really not. So I think the fact that you're falsely, she is only going to be 70 when this next election
She's a baby.
Rolls around.
She's a baby.
Yes.
Say.
Wow. Yeah, well, listen, here's the thing. I hope that Justice Sotomayor listens to these people, right? Listen to the cackling heads, okay? Don't step down, right? Stay there, okay? Definitely stay there, okay? That's what I hope happens, okay? Because clearly and obviously, what you have here is, the woke ideology clouded judgment, right? They don't want to, tell a woman of color to step down, right? You need to step down for the good of the team, right? So we can put somebody up there that's younger, that not, likely not to die while they're on the court. All right, well, listen to that, right? Listen to that, stay, and, hey, all I'm saying is that, if Trump wins, and Lord forbid that seat, becomes open, okay, or becomes vacant, and Lord forbid any of the seats become vacant, right? I don't want that to happen, but if it happens to happen, right, for whatever reason, then, hey, Trump can fill that seat, right? I'm just saying. So, if you want to stay, you should stay. Girl power, right? Girl power, right? You should not step down. Just stay, okay? Listen to the cackling hens, okay? They're the experts, right? They know how politics works. Go ahead and stay, right? But, I'll say this. If Trump gets elected, I think that Clarence Thomas and Alito, I think that, you should consider retiring, right? Consider retiring, okay, and allowing Trump to fill your seat with a young conservative, right? Young conservative justice. So, hey, I'm just saying, let me know what you guys think. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Most importantly, share a Black conservative perspective. Peace.